What is the most obvious lie you have ever been told? I speak French, though I'm losing it from lack of use. But one of my college guy friends started dating a girl from France. He was all excited because she could talk to me in her native language and I could help translate. So he brought her to a party at my sorority house and introduced us. I greeted her in French with a very simple bonjour, bienvenue, comment of va, which is just hi, welcome, how are you, blank stare and red face in response. She then said, in what I thought was a kind of strange accent, that sorry, she didn't understand me. I looked at the guy and said I thought you told me she was French, because maybe she was a different nationality, and he was confused. He looked at her and she just turned and left. He followed, then returned a bit later and said he had caught up to her and she started screaming at him in perfect Midwestern accented English that he was a jerk for setting her up to look like a fool. He had genuinely been excited that he could introduce her to someone she could talk to, so he was blown away by her accusations and then angry that she lied. She apparently felt faking an accent would make her more appealing or something. I would see her around on campus after that, but she avoided me like the plague. TBH. I felt bad for her. But if you're going to fake it, at least pick a country with a language you can speak. When I was a kid, the internet wasn't a thing, so my friends were whoever happened to live in the neighborhood. One kid was a well-known liar and exaggerator. We were maybe 14 years old at this time. This kid could play guitar and was always talking himself up about it and talking about his band. He actually could play, but his band did not exist. One day, I called him at his house. From my house. I don't remember what it was about, but a few minutes into the conversation, told me, by the way, I'm in Florida with my band. Just out of the blue. This was before even pages were a common thing. I called him. At his house. I just said something like, okay, and ended the conversation. I then proceeded to tell all the other kids in the neighborhood. My friend told me that getting a Peloton changed her life. I looked up her workout stats, and she had used it 4 times in 5 months of owning it. Her husband fared a little better with using it 9 times. Don't know why this annoyed me so much. I dated a girl who was a pathological liar. I didn't know it was actually a thing. When my dad originally told me about it, I thought he was exaggerating. After leaving the relationship, I realized how ridiculous the lies were and how stupid I was for believing them. But I guess that saying blinded by love is also true. Among the lies, one time she called out of work because, according to her, she was on her parents' boat out in the ocean and the boat ran out of gas. So they had to call a friend to come rescue her and her family and tow them to shore. I found out later it was actually because she had a party and was wasted. She met Donald Trump. This was back in like 2013, and his associates in Atlantic City. They invited her and her friend to join them as they drove around Atlantic City visiting his casino and eating the best food and drinking top shelf drinks. She didn't have to pay for anything. She got mono when we were dating, but I was fine. She said it was anxiety-induced mono according to the doctor, which is why I didn't have it. This was around the same time she told me that she met some guy at a party that was hitting on her, but she didn't hook up with him, and then I found out a week later she did. She was previously engaged, but she called off the engagement. This is actually true, and went to the pawn shop to pawn off her engagement ring and use the money to buy alcohol. She totaled 3 cars in her lifetime. But she was able to convince the insurance company it wasn't her fault and basically got a free car replacement each time. When my friend was an infant, her mother put a 2-year-old sibling in her crib while the mom left the room briefly. When mom came back, my friend was crying and had teeth marks on her forehead. When mom asked the older sibling what happened, she calmly said, "She bit herself." My sister, 2 at the time, did this to me, 6 at the time. She bit me on the back hard enough to draw blood, and then when my mom and dad came in the room, she instantly changed faces and asked, "Are you okay? How did this happen, mommy? Is Gold H2O going to be okay?" We still laugh about it to this day, especially since the thing that sparked her to bite me was a song in a Yo Gabba Gabba episode. I used to work with a guy that was a serial liar. Cold and tell the truth if his life depended on it. So many lies. But this is my personal fave. Background. Keep in mind that at the NFL Combine the 40-yard dash is the standard for speed. 5 seconds is great. 4 is elite. And the fastest time ever recorded by a prospectors, I believe 24 seconds. This Yutz I worked with claimed that back in his army days, he ran a 4.2 flat in combat boots. Let's just say I'm skeptical. A childhood friend and I met up for coffee one day after not meeting for a few years. He casually let it slip that ever since he earned a black belt he has had to register with the state as a human weapon. We cannot give you a raise right now, but we will compensate you as soon as the budget allows. Turns out when the budget allows is when you already have another job offer and put in your 2 weeks notice. I never said you had to sign the document if it wasn't true, says the person with 3 mls telling me to sign a document even after I said it wasn't true sitting on her outbox. In the early 90s I was at work making $5 hour and a coworker looked me straight in the eye and said he had bought a surface to air missile from China and kept it stored at his mom's house in a different city. WTF dude. That's not even close to believable. As a tax accountant, I'm told lies about how much money people actually made all the time during tax season. My favorite was a guy telling me he's broke because he only makes $35,000/year in New York City, so my very reasonable fee is too much for him. He says this after he asks me if he can deduct the new BMW 5 Series he just bought his son all cash. When my little brother mixed like 50 condiments, including sprinkles, ketchup, cereal and stuff, into a bag of popcorn and ate it telling us it was delicious when his face looked like he'd just ate 10 extremely sour warheads at once. He later admitted he just wanted us to eat it, but we never did. One time my little brother tried to make me a sandwich just to be nice, but said sandwich was just chocolate chips cookies covered in mustard between 2 pieces of bread. He clearly wanted to see how I'd react, and I of course refused to eat it. He told our mom I was being rude, and the worst part was, after she actually saw the sandwich she still said I was supposed to humor him. I just threw it away and told both no. I was picking up a sofa from a guy I found on Kijiji, and he stopped me right before leaving to see if I wanted to buy a mirror he was also looking to get rid of. I wasn't really interested, but my wife seemed keen, so we stopped in the hallway to check it out. He said it was a gift from my son-in-law. It's a beautiful mid-century antique. I'll let it go for $75. He went on about what an amazing mirror it was, and even told me pick it up and feel how sturdy it is. I picked it up. It was really heavy actually, and took a peek at the back and saw a sticker from Value Village with a $30 price tag. I kinda chuckled to myself and asked if he would go any lower than $75. He said I really couldn't. Then I said, well, I can see a tag from Value Village on the back here. Apostrophe. We ended up getting the mid-century antique mirror for $15 and me and my wife still laugh about the amazing deal we got on it. Reminds of when I did custom framing for a retail store and a woman came in with a painted piece she wanted reframed. She went on how it was very valuable and how I better be careful. Her great grandmother painted it, you know. It's the last painting she has by her. I'm 90% sure she was planning on complaining, no matter how carefully we reframed it, so that she could say we damaged her priceless artwork and get the frame for free. When I peeled back the backing paper to take it out of the frame, there was still a faded clearance $14 99 foot tag on the back. Mayo. Woman looked like she bit into a lemon. My ex told me he was in a car accident, totaled his car, broke a few ribs. He was trying to get sympathy so I would get back together with him, blaming the accident on me since he was distracted after the breakup. He sent me a photo of his car smashed in. I Google searched it. First pic of his make/model that was wrecked. He formulated the story after the picture. But here's the deal. The wheels didn't match. So I drove by his house that evening. Car was fixed and in his driveway. Oh yes. I paid the shop extra to get me in today, so I could have my car to come see you if you wanted me to. Apostrophe. Haha bro. An ex of mine picked up gig work out of state. He tried to tell me that a gang of guys attacked him with crowbars and 2x4s 2 nights before. Said he had broken his nose, shattered the bones around his eye, broken ribs, etc. I called his bluff. He sent me pictures of him wearing a neck brace and ace bandage around his chest. I commented, "Your face looks fine. You don't have a bruise on you. Putting on a bandage and brace you bought at Walgreens isn't gonna sell it." He snaps back, "I don't bruise naturally, and plastic surgeons fixed my face." He sang a different tune later when he fell down a flight of stairs and actually injured himself. I didn't give him sympathy then either. Used to play D&D with a pathological liar. Side note, he had the most incredible luck with natural 20 rolls. Close bracket. Another thing about this guy is he always tried to act like a macho tough guy too who had been in serious scrapes and such. So one time, unprompted, he said under his breath, but obviously wanting us to hear, "I've got to get this shrapnel out of me." Apostrophe. We were just like, "Sure man. Whatever you need to do." Apostrophe. Edit. Just remembered another thing he did once that was even better. We were taking a break and several of us had just stepped away from the table, so it was just me, him, and maybe one other person, and he pulled out his phone and did that thing like in the movies where you don't say hi or anything. He was just like, "Talk to me." Pretended to have a very brief conversation and ended it with, "I'm on it" or something like that, and then hung up. I had a boyfriend in high school who would do weird stuff like that for attention. I remember one time a friend's parents were driving us home after a music festival. We were sitting in the back seat. He leaned in and whispered in my ear, "Help me," and promptly dropped his head back pretending to pee butt out. I pretended I didn't hear. After about 10 seconds he realized and tried again, just barely louder, and dropped his head back again. A couple of minutes after we reached our destination, and he was suddenly in tip-top shape. He hopped out of the car and acted as though he did not just try to put on some wild "he must be saved" act because he thought I didn't hear him. We broke up shortly after. I had a friend in college who was a serial liar. Just all kinds of crazy things that must have satisfied some psychological need. All of it harmless. He told me he developed a theory on how to bend light passing through air and pitched the idea to the physics department, which set up an experiment and proved his theory to be true. He was a general studies major. I kept pressing him, "Well, which professor was it? How did the experiment work?" etc. Just kept digging deeper and changing the subject. My son takes every opportunity to get naked. It's a struggle to get him to even wear underpants half the time. We found him sat around naked one time and asked him where his pants had gone. Bees came in through the window and stole his pants. Lying little poop, everyone knows that's it's gnomes who steal underwear. My co-worker once tried to convince me that centaurs exist. She said they lived in a gated community in Hollywood and did all the horse stunts for movies. Did we both know it was a lie? Yes. Did she ever admit it was? No, and I admire that about her. When I was 16, I'd had a crush on one of my coworkers and he'd like me back. I thought things were going good until I asked him if he wanted to go out on our shared day off. He agreed, and then the day of cancelled and told me it was because he needed to take care of his fish. Plot twist here is that I'd told a few of my friends, 2 of which worked with me and the guy, and I went on and on about how rude it is of him to not even give me a believable lie. Those friends were all hanging out and went to Walmart that day and ran into my crush, buying food and supplies for his fish. He told them how excited he was about the fish too. I felt like the biggest asshole. Mom opened the door to my closet grass farm. What is this? Me. Panicking. Tomatoes? Right. Be careful with those lamps. She never asked about my tomatoes. Edit. This happened in my apartment. She was looking for something and accidentally opened the closet. I feel good enough today. Apostrophe. For flight training. Anytime you fly, you have to sign off that you are physically and mentally fit to fly. This means you have eaten in the past 6 hours, had a 10-hour rest period including 6 to 8 hours of sleep no longer than 16 hours ago, and that you do not have any excessive outside stresses. People lie about this all the time. An employee of mine took a half day off so he could attend a parent-teacher conference in the afternoon. He was supposed to work the morning shift, but then called last minute saying that it had all been bumped up and he couldn't come in the morning. Then he kept saying that the meeting was getting dragged out all day, finally showing up around 4 p.m. He insisted that the school had bumped his appointment up to 10 a.m., all the while forgetting that he was wearing a visitor's badge sticker on his shirt that clearly said checked in 2 p.m. When I was in high school, a classmate told me he makes over $20 an hour part-time as a banquet server. I did the exact same job and made $6 30/hours. I told him he was straight up lying to me, and he was adamant that he wasn't. Told him to bring me a pay stub and prove it, and he said I don't have one. This guy just regularly lied about all kinds of poop, but this was the first one I remember. I'll never understand compulsive liars. Pretty sure our manager wasn't making $20 an hour FFS. I told this liar a 3-yo to my mom. I was coloring the wall in the hallway with my bunny stuffed animal in my hand. I wasn't much of a rule breaker, so this one really stuck to my mom. My mom coming into the hallway. "What did you do?" Me looks at Bunny. "Bunny did that." Mom: "Well then tell Bunny that he shouldn't do that anymore, because now we have to repaint a wall and that's not nice." Me looks at Bunny. "Bunny, you really can't do that. That's not nice." Meanwhile I still had the markers in my other hand. Edit: "Wow, thank you for the rewards. These are my first ever. If you tell me the truth, I won't be mad." Apostrophe. A guy at work told me to my face in a meeting that I didn't need to sign off on his task because my supervisor had already checked it, which was weird because my supervisor had been off all week and left me in charge. He acted so shocked when I pointed this out. Like, what? Did a ghost check your work? He didn't think his story through at all. I worked with a guy who was a compulsive liar. After working with several people like this over the years, I have come to understand that it is an odd personality trait. So this guy is a New York Jets fan as I am. I asked him one day when the Jets were good if he saw the playoff game last night. He told me he was at the game. He could not have been at the game because he was at work with me at kickoff. Yes, the college administration has decimated other departments, but they're just laying off staff, not part-time librarians. I had been there nearly 13 years. A month later both of us were gone. I got rehired 5 months later, but at reduced pay. It's been 2.5 years back now, and it probably was the worst decision to return. But at 50 with a mood disorder, I don't have a lot of other options. Me coming upstairs to tell kid to hurry up and be ready to go out 15 minimums after already telling him, and seeing him on his phone through the slightly open door. "Why the hell aren't you ready yet? Get the hell off your phone." I wasn't on my phone. Apostrophe. Nobody has more respect for women than I do. Apostrophe. I love you. Guy I used to work with claimed he got 5 gold stars on every song on Guitar Hero 2. At the time I used to play every day and wasn't close to anything like this. It was just so far-fetched. There are obviously people in the world who will have achieved this feat of excellence, but not him. I ended up playing with him a few months later. When someone brought a system into work, I became confident in my assumption and that he was chatting shit. I see a future for us after he had accepted a job in another country that he hadn't said he had applied for. Please click subscribe if you enjoyed this video.